MooreMunns Racing. I'm Avery Moore. This is Hunter Munns. Today, this episode or this installment, I'm going to talk about password security. This is, well, we'll call it Authentication Security Part 1. This will be 2 parts. I didn't tell you this. There'll be 2 parts.
Great.
So that was full disclosure now while we're rolling. Yeah, sorry about that.
On the edge of my seat.
Okay, so let's talk password security. So, all right, so everybody knows that, hey, you need to make a strong password. It's got to be X number of characters, needs to have uppercase, lowercase, a special character, and all that stuff. And so a lot of websites, they will force you to do that. But the standards are all over the map. Sometimes they have a minimum of 8, sometimes they have a minimum of 10. Usually it's 8. And sometimes they'll even cap the max. They'll max out. They won't let you do more than a certain number of characters. I run into that problem frequently, but not everybody does. So let's talk password security. So let's say you've got a very good password, like Hunter's password. What's your bank account password?
You mean Roger 1532?
Yeah.
Password?
Well, okay, that's not a very good password, but yeah. Let's say it's Roger 1532. We'll put an exclamation point on there. We'll put an uppercase R, and then let's add an underscore in there just for fun. So that puts us
the Roger with 2 D's. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. It does. So we've got a reasonably long password. It's got all the parameters, upper, lowercase, special character, and we're good to go, right? Yeah, good. Here's the deal. All right, so that'll take a password cracker a little bit of time to kind of churn through if you're doing a brute force. Depending on what you're looking for. But let's say that Hunter decides that is a good password and says, hey, I'm going to use it on my bank account, and I'm going to use it on my email account, and I'm going to use it on my other account and my other account. And in fact, you know what? Screw it. It's such a good password. I'm going to use it on all my accounts because it's a good password. Passes all the parameters. It's pretty secure. Not too bad, right? Okay, great. No problem, except one thing. Let's say one of your accounts, doesn't matter which one, just pick one. Let's say you signed up for an Adobe account. It was junk, you didn't really care about it, but you're like, screw it, I need to put a password. I'm gonna put my old reliable, what was it, Roger 32, whatever that was, with 2 D's and exclamation point. Well, guess what, that account, that company, they just got hacked, right?
Yeah.
And they just dumped all of their usernames and passwords, and now somebody has them, right?
Yes.
Some bad guy. So here's what they do with that. And you're thinking to yourself, I didn't care about that Adobe account. It doesn't mean anything to me. They don't have my bank account, except that they do because it's the same password. So what these bad guys do is they do what's called this technique called credential stuffing, which sounds fantastic. And it is. And they know all these, online accounts, and so they go to it. They already have your username, and it's probably your email. And what they do is they plunk in all of the passwords that they have for you. Whatever, Avery, Moore, whatever, something, Gmail. They know what that is, and they have maybe 3 or 4 passwords that they've gotten from compromised sites. They'll just plunk those in, one after the other, until one works. And one will work. And that is how, even though you have a good password, your account gets compromised. And so that's why I highly encourage everybody to get yourself a password manager, like LastPass or 1Password or something like that. They're all pretty good, right? They have their pluses and minuses, but get yourself one.
Okay,
and use a different password for every site. Yes.
Okay,
and
so
Hunter's got a legit question.
Using LastPass.
Yes.
So I'm entering all my websites with the passwords.
Yes.
And I have come to realize that my passwords are lame and and weak, and probably the equivalent of the Maginot Line in France in World War whatever that was. But so, is there a simple way how do you go about having LastPass change your password for you, or do I just need to do the time-consuming? I mean, what do you recommend for somebody in my position?
LastPass does have some capability of doing an automatic password change,
Okay.
but it doesn't work for all sites.
Okay.
So you may go into the interface, like it's called your password vault, and go in there and see if they have an option to change it. It'll do it. It'll log in. It'll use the interface, change the password, and then log you back out, and it'll automatically be saved. But it doesn't work on every site.
Okay.
So you may be able to do that for some, but not others. So I would check on your password vault and see if that's available for some of your passwords, some of your accounts. So, but yeah, they try to make it as easy as possible, but every website is different. They have different interfaces and different ways that the users and the machines interact with it. So it's hard to get them all. Very good question.
Okay.
This was not scripted,
so now
by the way.
let's take it. Okay, so not everybody is going to be as comfortable with with technology as you are. So on the ones that you can't change through your password manager, what do you recommend, and how do you for people to make what do you recommend for a secure password, but how do you also recommend that come up with a password that your people can remember without falling into the trap of using the same password over and over?
Okay, no, that's a great question. So a key phrase I want to hone in on is that you can remember. In my own accounts, I could not tell you any password for any of my accounts. I don't know what they are. And the reason is because, well, first of all, they're all different. They're ridiculously long and stupid complicated. And that's the point. And therein lies the value of the password manager, because all you have to do is remember one very long master password. And that is basically the keys to your kingdom. And so that allows you to really diversify your authentication. That's easy for me to say. So, but yeah, I honestly, the whole make it so you can remember. When you have a password manager, you just throw that out the door, because you don't need to remember it.
Okay.
You just have to remember that very long master password. Guard it with your life, and because it is the keys to your kingdom, or it will be.
And then can you sign in to your password manager from, let's say you're traveling and I guess you have your device with you, but let's say you have multiple devices. You got your laptop,
Sure.
You got your phone, you got you might have a desktop. So how do you go about, what happens? Will you always be able to sign into your password manager?
If you have, for the, like, LastPass is the one I know about, but a lot of these other ones, they have online capabilities. So you should be able to log in via a browser and to access your password vault.
Okay.
Which sounds risky, right? It really does. Like, oh, all my passwords are online. But what they do is the vault is encrypted with your master password, but they also throw in what's called a salt. That sounds really great.
Yeah.
It does what salt does, right? It makes it more flavorful, and it complicates your authentication, right? So they mix the password in with salt, and it makes it very, very difficult to crack that and to decrypt that password vault. So,
and then what would you recommend for when you say stupid long? How long is stupid long?
as long as the website will let you,
Okay.
which you don't know. They usually don't tell you what the limit is, but I've usually run into, well, the shortest one, max limit was like 25. But I would go, honestly, 32 characters.
Okay.
If the site lets you. And there's a couple of ways you can do it.
Well, let's say with LastPass, do you know how long that you can get away with, or at least?
I have not met the upper limit for LastPass yet.
Okay.
So I've had some very ridiculous long passwords. LastPass has a password generator that you can use, but you can also go to a website called grc.com/passwords, and they will literally just randomly generate just stuff. And you can copy paste and make your own password, and out of that, if you need random stuff, that's a great way to get it.
Okay.
You can use, well, I don't recommend using words, especially for all of your accounts, but Just, yeah, grc.com/password, I think is the one I use to get, it just gives you material. You just hit F5 to refresh the page. F5, 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 it'll give you, there's all kinds of stuff you can use as for your passwords. There you go. That's password security part 1. Very good questions. This was not scripted, by the way, as all of our other content is very much scripted.
And this time we don't even need a disclaimer because you are a well-trained computer security expert.
I might actually,
and
yeah,
I am
maybe.
Actually, true story, I am just now in the process of starting with LastPass Password Manager.
True story, true story. All right, next time on password security, part 2, we're going to talk about multi-factor authentication. MooreMunns Racing.